Good evening, everybody. Today, our topic of discussion will be soft tissue sarcoma. It is a very much interesting but somehow confusing topic, and though it has a broad spectrum of diseases, but it comes under the same heading, that is soft tissue sarcoma. Mainly, it comes in as long questions or maybe short note in mainly postgraduate exam, but can also come in undergraduate exam. So, etiology. First, predisposing factors for sarcomas are there may be genetic predisposition like neurofibromatosis in von Reckling-Hossen's disease, Lee-Fromenich syndrome, retinoblastoma, Gardner syndrome in familial adenomatous polyposis, radiation exposure, therapeutic radiation in the orthovoltage and megavoltage range. Different chemicals can cause soft tissue sarcoma, namely 2,3,7,8 tetrachlorodibenzodoxin, polyvinyl chloride, hemochromatosis, arsenic, trauma to extremity and post-partition status, and lymphedema, mainly post-surgical, post-radiation, and parasitic infection like filariasis. There are some genetic alterations that can play a role in the development of soft tissue sarcoma. They can be described in two headings. Number one, sarcomas with specific genetic alterations that result in simple karyotypes, including fusion genes secondary to reciprocal translocations and specific point mutations such as KIT mutations in gastrointestinal stromal tumors and APC beta catenin mutations in desmoid tumors. And secondly, sarcomas with non-specific genetic alterations and typically complex unbalanced karyotypes represent numerous genetic losses and gains. Sarcomas are classified by histologic cell type of origin and grade. Pleomorphic undifferentiated sarcoma, previously known as malignant fibrous histosarcoma, accounting 40% of soft tissue sarcomas, is most common, followed by liposarcoma. Patients typically present with an asymptomatic mass that becomes visible or palpable. Intra-abdominal retroperitoneal tumors can become massive before symptoms prompt presentation. According to histological type, there can be synovial sarcoma, myxoid round cell liposarcoma, Ewing sarcoma, alveolar rhabdomyosarcoma, extraskeletal myxoid chondrosarcoma, dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans, desmoplastic small round cell tumor, clear cell sarcoma, infantile fibrosarcoma, alveolar soft part sarcoma, atypical lipomatous tumor, well differentiated liposarcoma, leiomyosarcoma, malignant fibrous histiocytoma, malignant peripheral outfit tumor. Age is a factor in histopathology. Embryonal rhabdomyosarcoma is most common in childhood, while synovial sarcoma is most likely to be seen in young adults less than 35 years of age. There is an even distribution of liposarcoma and malignant fibrous histiocytoma as a predominant types in the older population. Many malignant fibrous histiocytoma is currently being reclassified as myofibrosarcoma, pleomorphic sarcoma, or dedifferentiated liposarcoma. Sarcoma histotype and liposarcoma subtype are generally important determinants of prognosis and predictor of distinctive pattern of behavior. Biological behavior is currently best predicted on the basis of histologic type, histologic grade, tumor size, and depth. Now, for the evaluation of a soft tissue sarcoma patient, we should go for history, physical examination, imaging, and biopsy. History. A focused history including description of location, duration, change in size, and presence of associated symptoms should be noted. A painless mass is the most common presentation. Any history of enlargement or color change or shape change is concerning for malignancy. Pain may be a late symptom. Lesions can be misdiagnosed as hematomas, hemorrhoids, or muscle strain due to perceived antecedent trauma. Next, coming to physical examination, key features are size, anatomic relationship with surrounding structures, borders, and mobility. A neurovascular examination of the affected area should be performed if palpability is concerning, if the lesion is hard, nodular, immobile against the skin, and failed to be involving deeper tissues. Coming to the management, first is diagnosis. Imaging. Magnetic resonance imaging is a mainstay in the diagnosis, staging, and follow-up of soft tissue sarcomas. MRI provides excellent soft tissue contrast, tissue specificity, and three-dimensional imaging. It allows accurate detection of involvement of bones and neurovascular bundles. It is very sensitive for detection of locoregional recurrence. In addition to imaging of the primary, it is also a requisite to survey for metastatic disease. T2-weighted images and gadolinium enhancement can help distinguish edematous normal tissue from tumor. CT is more useful than MRI in evaluating relationship to vascular structures. CT-guided core needle biopsy is often used for deep tumors that are difficult to access without radiographic guidance. A chest CT is generally obtained for diagnosis of soft tissue sarcoma to evaluate for pulmonary metastasis. Additionally, for sarcomas of the abdomen and pelvis, the liver and peritoneal contents are at risk for metastatic disease and should be evaluated by MRI or CT. Chest X-ray and chest computed tomography scans are important to survey the lungs for hematogenous spread of the soft tissue sarcomas. PET is utilized for staging, prognosis, and response to chemotherapy by evaluating the maximum standardized uptake value of F18-deoxyglucose. It aids in differentiation of necrotic tumor or scar versus metabolically active disease. Coming to the biopsy, which is a very important part of diagnosis. Core needle biopsy is the preferred method. It provides a section of intact tissue for histologic analysis, the same information as an excisional or incisional biopsy without impacting the future surgical pain. Indeterminate result should be confirmed by a repeat core needle biopsy. Incisional biopsy may be performed by an experienced surgeon for masses more than 3 cm. An incision oriented parallel to the long axis of the extremity should be made such that the resulting scar can be excised at subsequent operation. Meticulous hemostasis to prevent hemorrhage from spreading tumor is critical. Excisional biopsy is usually only considered after multiple non-diagnostic core biopsies have been performed. It may be performed for tumors that are probably benign or less than 3 cm diameter like lipomas, dermatofibromas. An elliptical incision is made around the tumor, oriented parallel to the long axis of the limb and along skin lines of minimal tension. Complete excision with a thin margin of normal tissue followed by primary closure should be performed wherever possible. FNA is the least invasive method of tissue diagnosis but also the least informative. FNA can determine the presence of malignancy and histology type but often cannot determine grade. Indeterminate results should prompt definitive biopsy. It is most often used to confirm recurrence or metastasis. Now, there is a staging of soft tissue sarcoma. There are G for histologic grade, T for primary tumor size, N for regional nodes, and M for distant metastasis. GX grade cannot be assessed, G1 well differentiated, G2 moderately differentiated, G3 poorly differentiated, and G4 undifferentiated. TX primary size cannot be assessed, T0 no evidence of primary tumor, T1 tumor less than 5 cm, T1A superficial tumor, T21B deep tumor. T2 tumor 5 cm or more, T2A superficial tumor, T2B deep tumor. N for nodes, NX regional nodes cannot be assessed, N0 no regional lymph nodes, N1 regional lymph node metastasis. Such as MX presence of distant metastasis cannot be assessed, M0 no distant metastasis, M1 distant metastasis present. Now there is an algorithm for the management of primary retroperitoneal or visceral soft tissue sarcomas. History and physical examination, abdomen, pelvic, CT, MRI, and chest X-ray. Suspicion for lymphoma and needle biopsy. It may be lymphoma or not lymphoma. Lymphoma, go for chemotherapy. Now, if it is not suspicious for lymphoma, exploratory laparotomy resection, complete resection should be done. If there is incomplete resection or protection of small bowel is considered, go for post-operative EBRT. Now, there is an algorithm for management of extremity and superficial trunk sarcoma. After history, physical exam, and biopsy with imaging study, it should be high grade or low grade. If there is a low grade, function sparing complete excision should be done with achievement of negative margin. If there is negative margin is achieved, no adjuvant therapy is needed. If microscopic positive margin is there, consider for post-operative EBRT. Now, if there is a high grade, it is either less than 5 cm, it is 5 to 10 cm or more than 10 cm. So for more than 10 centimeter, consider preoperative chemotherapy. After that, you have to do function sparing complete excision for all the tumors. Now, after the tumor is sent for histopathology, consider if there is a more than 1 centimeter margin is positive or less than 1 centimeter margin or microscopic positive margin. If the margin is more than 1 centimeter, then there may be three criteria. If it is less than 5 centimeter, 5 to 10 centimeter, more than 10 centimeter. Again, if it is less than 5, no adjuvant therapy. If within 5 to 10 centimeter, go for preoperative EBRT or postoperative EBRT. If recurrence would result in significant morbidity. If more than 10 centimeter, postoperative EBRT plus BRT. Now, again, if the margin is less than 1 centimeter, it is less than 5 centimeter, 5 to 10 centimeter, and more than 10 centimeter. So treatment is almost same, except for less than 5 centimeter. Here you should consider for perioperative EBRT or postoperative EBRT. Now coming to the treatment proper. Surgical resection with negative surgical margins is the primary treatment for patients with resectable disease. Resection should include the area of previous incision. Radiation and or chemotherapy may be used in the neoadjuvant setting to improve the chances of an R0 resection. Re-excision should be performed for positive surgical margins when possible, if it will not impact functional outcome. Limb sparing resection combined with radiation therapy offers rates of survival equivalent to those achieved with amputation. Limb sparing procedures have a psychological and functional advantages over amputations and are the procedures of choice for most tumors. Amputation is rarely necessary. For retrospader sarcomas, they are considerably more difficult to treat because the tumors often involve vital structures. Overall and disease-free survival for retroperitoneal soft tissue sarcomas are 56.8 and 39.4% respectively. Organs associated with the tumor should be resected in bloc because 5-year recurrence rates are lower for in bloc resections. Post-operative radiation may be used but is associated with relatively high morbidity. Pre-operative radiation therapy has several advantages, including direct targeting of the tumor, reduced off-target effects, and conversion of tumors from unresectable to resectable. Coming to the radiation, for the majority of high-grade soft tissue sarcoma, surgery combined with radiation therapy is more effective than either therapy alone. Surgery alone may be appropriate for small, less than 5 centimeter superficial lesions with favorable histologic subtype and grade. Otherwise, adjuvant radiotherapy is generally indicated to improve local control. Pre-operative radiation can also be used for large, deep-seated tumors for which the surgeon anticipates a possible positive margin. Brachytherapy, that is administration of radiotherapy via the implantation of radioactive beds, can also be used to improve localization to radiosensitive areas. Chemotherapy. There is a mixed data supporting the use of pre and post-operative chemotherapy. Tumors at high risk for recurrence or metastases, in addition to advanced unresectable or metastatic disease, should be considered for chemotherapy. The agents used are specific to the histologic subtype of soft tissue sarcoma. Doxorubicin, epirubicin, and ifosfamide are cornerstones of the treatment. Near target agents and immunotherapy are being used with increasing success in a variety of soft tissue sarcoma. Regarding intralesional immunotherapy, melphalan can be used to treat extremity soft tissue sarcoma, particularly in patients with either primary or recurrent unresectable disease. There is some suggestion of decreased local recurrence with definitive downstaging of the tumor. In other therapies, mainly molecular targeted therapies, trabectedin, a small molecule inhibitor of DNA nucleotide excision repair, pazopanib, an oral tyrosine kinase inhibitor, eribulin, a microtubule inhibiting agent, and olaratumab, a monoclonal antibody that blocks PDGFR alpha, are new therapies with some efficacy in selected histologic subtypes for patients with advanced disease. A recent phase 3 trial evaluated anlotinib, a receptor tyrosine kinase inhibitor with potential anti-neoplastic and anti-angiogenic activities. Patients with histologically proven advanced soft tissue sarcoma with intolerance or failure to anthracyclines-based chemotherapy were randomized to anlotinib versus placebo. Prognosis. Prognosis is highly variable given the variety of histologic diagnosis. Almost 80% of metastases are to the lungs and occur within 2 to 3 years of diagnosis. If pulmonary disease is resectable, overall survival is 30% at 3 years. In addition, tumor size, grade, tumor rupture during surgery, margins after resection, and anatomic location all influence local recurrence, overall survival, and tumor-free survival. Retroperitoneal and truncal soft tissue sarcoma have worse prognosis than extremity soft tissue sarcoma. While mortality from extremity soft tissue sarcoma is related to metastasis, retroperitoneal soft tissue sarcoma is usually fatal secondary to local recurrence. Now there is a short note coming on desmoid tumors. They are non-metastasizing, locally aggressive tumors that arise from connective tissue. Small asymptomatic tumors located in areas that would not lead to functional limitations can be observed. Large symptomatic tumors should be excised with a margin of normal tissue. Desmoids are radiosensitive, and radiation therapy can be used in multimodality treatment. Anti-estrogen receptor agents, that is tamoxifen, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like sulindac, chemotherapy and tyrosine kinase inhibitors like imatinib, sorafenib are currently being used in patients with unresectable, progressive, or recurrent disease. In a randomized trial, that is phase 3 trial, patients with unresectable tumors or unacceptable surgical morbidity, progressive disease, and symptomatic disease were treated with sorafenib or placebo. Sorafenib resulted in significantly improved progression-free survival compared with placebo. Patients with a desmoid tumor requires colonoscopy to exclude familial adenomatous polyposis. Now, there is a question for you. That is, a 45-year-old male is taken to the operating room for resection of a large retroperitoneal liposarcoma. He has no significant past medical history and preoperative laboratory studies were normal. After laparotomy, the tumor is discovered. To enhance the left renal artery and vein, the most appropriate course of action is tumor debulking followed by adjuvant chemotherapy, placement of cleaves, closure, and referral for radiation therapy, closure and subsequent chemotherapy, resection of the mass en bloc with the left kidney, resection of the mass with a positive gross margin, percutaneous nephrostomy, tube placement. Another question. A 73-year-old female was recently diagnosed with a left distal femoral high-grade malignant fibrous histiocytoma, abating the distal superficial femoral artery, measuring 7 cm. The best next step is wide local excision, left above knee amputation, chest CT, isolated limb perfusion, and radiation therapy. So you should have these questions to be answered in your own, and you can have your topic to be properly selected topics from the proper areas like books from Washington Manual and Savitsan Surgery. So these two books we should always consider for as a text when you are dealing with soft tissue sarcoma.